I can't go out. I'm sick. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're doing another historical romance recommendation video for a specific trope, and now this one is specifically for our hero or heroine who needs someone to help them during their time of need when they're feeling a little under the weather. Maybe they got into an accident, maybe the weather was just really bad and it made them sick, but regardless they need a little bit of assistance so that they can get back to health, and it is the nursing back to health trope. And now this one was actually recommended or suggested by a subscriber on my channel. Obviously, they commented on one of my historical romance videos and they would said that they would love to see some recommendations for this specific trope, and I've been on a hunt for books for this specific trope for quite a bit of time. That's why there has been some delay, mostly because I have to, dig through all the books I have read on my Goodreads. But here are some of my favorite recommendations. So the first recommendation that I do have for you is actually a fairy tale retelling. And now this is kind of like my catnip because I love fairy tale retellings. I like retellings of like many different things, like classic novels or like mythology or like fairy tales. So this one is from Eloisa James, I believe that's how you say her name, but this one's called When Beauty Tempt the Beast. And now obviously you already know what the retelling is based off. It's Cinderella. No, I'm kidding. It's actually Beauty and the Beast, and our hero is a beast. He is scarred, he is mangled, he does not look good to the public eye. Society is scared of him, and they're not only just scared of his appearance, but they're scared of his bad temper and his like reclusive ways, because he just kind of hides away from society, so society doesn't even know what kind of person he is. So rumors start spreading around and everybody just doesn't want to be in the same vicinity as him, and of course that brings down his self-esteem. So he's definitely like a black sheep hero, and he is someone that you can just feel really bad for. And what our hero actually does is that he's actually a doctor, and lots of people have compared, and I think Eloisa also said it to herself in the end of her book, that our main hero is actually based off of House MD, like, that show where the doctor is very gruff and he is lacking in bedside manner and he helps the patients, but then he kind of just like tells them straightforward that, hey, you know what, we're gonna cut off your leg and like that's it, or you're gonna die in about 2 weeks, so say goodbye to your family. So he's very like crude in that way that makes the patients feel like that they are on a deathbed and that they will die very soon. Anyways, so our heroine, she is beautiful. She is the beauty of the ball. Everybody wants to be with her. Everybody wants to be her. And basically what happens is that there's a rumor spreading around that she's actually pregnant outside of wedlock, and that's obviously damaging to her reputation. So she tries to seduce our hero and try to get our hero to marry her before like these rumors kind of spread way too much, and then it further ruins her life. And then this is kind of like an enemies to lovers romance too as well, because our hero doesn't trust our heroine, and our heroine just kind of like wants to be in the same vicinity as him and just wants to seduce him in that way too as well. I really liked it. Obviously there is going to be some scenes where I'm not going to tell you because I feel like it's a spoiler, but one of our main characters does get sick and the other character has to take care of them, and this story does have a moral to it, and that's why I think I really liked it. Now the next recommendation that I do have for you is for people who like to read like Scottish heroes. This one's from Maya Banks, and this one's called Seduction of a Highland Lass. And this is about our hero who already has a fiance, and he is going there to go pick up his fiance. But then during his travel, he was actually ambushed and he gets hurt and he's on his deathbed. But then our heroine, who is kind of outside of a clan, like a group of people, sees him, takes him back into where she stays and nurses him back to health. And that's where their kind of attraction flies, and they build conversations, and then they start to fall for each other. But unfortunately he's still engaged to someone else, and then she also doesn't have like the squeakiest clean backgrounds, so it makes it hard for our hero to accept our heroine, because there's just so much loyalty involved in his clan, and there's a lot of angst involved too as well, and I quite enjoyed this one. Now for the next recommendation that I do have for you is, I think, a book that I haven't really talked much about on my channel for a long time. I might have mentioned it once or twice here and there, but this is one of the historical romances that I loved back when I was just starting to read historical romances. It holds a dear place in my heart, and I think I actually reread this one maybe 3 times, but I'm not too sure. It's due for another reread, but the last time I reread it, I was kind of bored by it. But I think like if this time I reread it again, I would still enjoy it. But this one is from none other than one of the original queens of historical romance, Johanna Lindsey, and this one is part of her Mallory Anderson series, which is like I think 12 books now. And this one's called Say You Love Me. And basically what happens is that our hero, you know, he's in a tavern and he doesn't really expect much. He thinks he's just gonna have a nice night out with the boys. But then he realizes that there's an auction happening. And now this young female is being auctioned away for like a lump sum of money. And she has debts to pay. She has to take care of her family. So she thinks this is a great idea to just sell herself. And what happens is she's scared because this is her first time, obviously, and she doesn't know what to expect, and she wants someone to buy her who is nice and kind to her. But then the highest bidder that's happening so far is someone that looks really evil and sinister, and she's scared. And our hero sees this, and he actually ends up bidding for her and winning her. But he is just doing this just to save her. He actually doesn't want another mistress, or he just doesn't want someone in his life that is bought. So he decides to be heroic and just kind of ship her off into one of the estates that he owns, and then she can, you know, live her life there with like an allowance and kind of help out and take care of the estate and kind of talk and have conversation with the servants there. And obviously I love the idea or the trope when our hero is just kind of like trying to shut down his emotions and try to like not get himself involved, but then ends up getting involved anyways because he's just a very big cinnamon roll and he just wants to make sure that everyone is okay. Okay, so the next recommendation that I do have for you is actually a book that I didn't really like, and I actually gave it a 2 stars, but it has a 4 stars on Goodreads, and I feel like it's a me thing or something. But if you're a big fan of Lisa Kleypas and you really like the Wallflower series and you especially love Sebastian from Devil in Winter and you haven't read Devil in Disguise yet, then definitely do. This one also involves the trope of nursing back to health. I guess I won't spoil it for you, but one of our main characters actually gets hurt in an accident, and unfortunately they lose a bit of their memory, and it becomes like kind of like a plot device where, you know, our other character has to either pretend to be someone special in their life or just try to stay close to make sure that they're okay, but not revealing their true relationship status to the other person because they don't want to put too much pressure on them, especially when they're trying to get back to their normal healthy state. So it was a book about our heroine who is a business owner, and then she is fierce and independent, but then our hero comes along and smittens her, and they seduce each other and they have a lot of fun flirty scenes. But then what happens is that he's not exactly being truthful and that he actually may have danger right around the corner. I feel like Lisa Kleypas also has a lot of books that she has written where our characters have to nurse each other back to health. And another recommendation that I do have for you from her is Dreaming of You. Now this one I liked a lot more than Devil in Disguise. This one involved our main female heroine who is a writer, and because she's a writer she needs inspiration, she needs to have the knowledge, she needs to have like the history and the facts. So she goes to all these different places where male visitors frequently visit and gets herself into a lot of trouble, and she ends up meeting our hero who is in the middle of like a giant fight happening, and that's how she has to, you know, take him back in and try to nurse him back to health so that she can actually use him so that she can get more facts and information for the book that she's writing. And this was kind of like a fun little friends to lover romance, I feel like, and I really enjoyed it. People love our hero a lot because our hero is a giant cinnamon roll, and I liked him too. Now the next recommendation that I do have for you is a sadder one. I feel like this series, I've already talked about it in one of my guides to Lorraine Heath. I have 2 so far. One of them is for her series called Sins for All Season series, and this whole series is basically about bastard children and them building a life for themselves after having such a difficult childhood. These children were like baby farmed, and they were put into this house by, like, I think Lady Truelove is like the name of the woman who took care of all of them, and then they were all raised together as like a giant family. And like this whole series follows each individual child who kind of grows up, becomes an adult, and finds the love of their lives. and it's very sad, obviously. So our main female heroine is a result of baby farming, and she grew up knowing that she has to help other people in need, simply because if she never got that help when she was a child, she wouldn't even be here today. So she sees our hero at like the front step of her house, and she sees that he's been hurt really badly and that people have beaten him up, and it's up to her to kind of like nurse him back to health. And this is kind of like their romance, where they discover each other's secrets and they talk about their dark pasts, and they learn to fall in love with each other and to kind of have their first glimpses of happiness. Now, the next recommendation that I do have for you is one that I haven't read before, but this one is from an author that I really like. I've read 3 of her books, and 2 of them were historical romances, and I liked them. They were a little bit trippy. They were like a roller coaster ride. I didn't know where I was going at some parts, but I enjoyed them anyways, and I'll talk more about it in my wrap up. But this one's from Teresa Medeiros, and it's called Yours Until Dawn, and I'm really excited to read this one because it's about a scarred hero, and it's about like a beast, because he's a beast. So our hero is actually like a war veteran, and he comes back from battle, but then he's obviously injured very badly, and he actually lost vision, so he's kind of blind. And then he comes back and he realizes that the fiance wants nothing to do with him anymore, so he's heartbroken on top of that. And then our heroine is actually the nurse, and she is supposed to take care of him, but then she is upset because she didn't expect the patient to be so grumpy all the time and to be so angry. So I think this story is going to involve our heroine kind of like standing up for herself and telling him to like stop being so mean and to just be quiet and to just work on recovery, which I think is going to be such a good book. And then now the last book recommendation that I have for you is also one that I haven't read yet before, but I do own it and I'm excited to read this one. This one is from Lindsay Sands, and this one's called To Marry a Scottish Led. I think that's how you pronounce it. I googled it. Hopefully that's how you say it. But this one involves our hero, who is a warrior, and he got injured on the battlefield. He's gonna die. But then he's very grateful that someone actually came back to the battlefield and nursed him back to health in his special, like, place that he's staying. But what he doesn't realize is that the person that's nursing him back to health is actually not a boy, but it's actually our female heroine. I don't know. I really like historical romances where our heroine dresses up as a boy, because like our hero kind of has like one of those Shang Mulan moments where Shang is like, I'm very confused. Why do I like this male boy that looks like a girl but is still a boy? And then Mulan is just like, I hope he doesn't figure out that I'm a girl. And it's like that like confusing moment. But anyways, that is it for all my recommendations I do have for you for the trope of nursing back to health. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys again next time with a new one. And if you have, once again, recommendations for this specific trope, let me know in the comments down below so I can add it to my TBR, because I'm having a great time adding all your recommendations to my TBR. Lots of people recommended me Sarah McLean, and I got the audiobook, so I'm going to enjoy some of my recommendations from you guys. But I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.